Hello, friends. Welcome to the Gritty Podcast. I'm your host, Brian Call. And today, I'm in here in the studio by my lonesome. Brent went on a little vacation. I'm getting ready to go bear hunting tomorrow with Ryan Lampers. But before I leave, I got my pack all loaded, and I just wanted to go over what I've got going on this trip. Trying to plow through it pretty quick so we don't take up too much time. Try to do this anytime I'm going out on a trip so everyone can I loaded it anyway, I might as well share it. So I'm just gonna start emptying the pack. The pack that I've got for this trip is an initial ascent pack. It's their around 6,000 cubic inch pack. And my Seek Outside pack is still being built. It's not ready yet, probably won't be ready for a few more weeks. In the meantime, I've been running this, and I've also been running my Stone Glacier. I've been loading this up to 80 to 100 pounds to see how it feels, and it feels great. I'm pretty impressed with this design. There's a lot of things I really like about it, and I can show that to you kind of briefly, but I really want to put a good month on this in the mountains, doing real live stuff with it that I've done. I've put my stone through its paces. I know what I like about it, what I don't like about it. And I just want to do the same with this and see how it handles it. I was turned on to this by Ryan Lampers and Dave Baronio a couple years back. And then I've been watching Dave, Hollywood Dave. He was on, he did Train to Hunt quite a bit. That's how him and Lampers became friends. And Dave's a monster in the mountains, and he had run this pack, and he did some Train to Hunt competitions with it. And I started watching him use it, and it just intrigued me because you're carrying some heavy loads if you're Dave, and then I've seen him hang like quarters off the side of it. Anyway, I've just been watching from afar. I got a hold of the guys over at Initial Ascent. They gave me the pack to try out and test and look into, and so far, like I said, it's pretty cool. It's a totally different design. It's interesting how the Stone Glacier, the Seek Outside, and this Initial Ascent all attempt to accomplish the same goal, which is to carry a heavy load into the mountains, be able to pack loads back out, and yet they all do it with a very, very different design. But I'll go through this pack right now. This is the Initial Ascent, like I said, 6,000 pack. Right here is my Peak Design clip. This is where I carry my camera. When I'm filming, I just clip it on, take it off, clip it on, take it off. The camera that I normally carry is the one I'm filming with right now. And then over here, I've got my rifle slung on the back here. And something that's interesting about this pack is how the frame works. And if you look close, you can see that I've got it kind of hooked onto the frame. And there's a little hook on the frame where I've seen Dave Baronio actually take a hind quarter of an elk, and in the little hock area where you can you got a little handle there, he'll actually hang that on those two hooks. It's also there for a rifle sling, or I can just put it on there with the Stealthy Hunter rifle cover that I've got on here. Anyway, it feels really nice, and it's just right there. I got a little strap at the bottom to kind of keep it where it needs to be. But I like where it's right up against my body. It's pretty tight, and it's right on the frame itself, and that frame is driving right down here into the hips. Really nice. So I don't know. It's been pretty cool to test this out so far. Like I said, I've been doing 80 to 100 pound loads with it, and it carries really nice. So it'll be interesting. I'll come back in a month, and I'll let you know what my impressions are. So I weighed this pack I took these things out already, but with everything in the pack, with the rifle and everything on it, it's 45 pounds. Okay, so that just gives you an idea. I'm not going to tell you what each item weighs. I'm just going to tell you it's 45 pounds right now with everything I need. I'll show you what's in it here in a minute. And then it includes a fair bit of camera gear as well. But the base weight is 45 pounds. And then I'm going to add probably, often Ryan and I go for 10 or 12 days worth of food. We spike out for 5 or 6 days, so we hike in initially maybe 8 miles, drop our stuff off at a base camp, leave half our stuff there, go another 5 to 8 miles in. So I'll be carrying probably 75 or 80 pounds into the main site. And then right there, I'll drop off 6 days of food, which is about 12 pounds, which will get my pack down to, 62 pounds or something. And then I'll hike that into wherever we're headed. And then when we run out of food and hopefully we kill something, we come back to that main spike camp and we still have another 6 days of food to strike out in the next direction. And so, cause 24 pounds of food, which is about 2 pounds a day for a 12-day hunt, that's a lot of weight. Of course, you eat it all, so it's not with you when you get done with your hunt, but hopefully. But if you tag out early, you've got to carry your bear and everything with it, along with all of your gear and your food that you haven't eaten usually comes with you because it's expensive and good food, and you still need it. So anyway, but like I said, it's 45 pounds. I've got a little Jetboil fuel right here. And then my ground cloth is this 6-ounce Cuban fiber tarp, which I've been doubling or tripling up, laying it on the ground. I've been running this for quite a long time. And this tarp is, I want to say it weighs 6 ounces and it's made by Z-Packs. But a Tyvek or anything else will do as well. So that's that right there. Let me get in here, and I've got this Gsi Microlight Bottle. I always toy with whether I bring it or don't bring it. Problem is I just like, it weighs about 5 ounces or 6 ounces more than an Nalgene, but it's stainless steel. I'm not drinking out of plastic, and the inside keeps everything cold or hot. And it's just nice because when it's really hot and you have a cool glass of ice cold water because you're drinking out of a stream, or it's cold in the morning and I have a little bit of hot tea in here, or hot Ignite, or some chocolate or something. It's nice to have that. Ryan puts coffee in it, and it's going to stay hot for, basically it could stay hot 12 hours all day long if you wanted to. But so it's just convenient. It adds a few more ounces, but it's worth it. Okay, so taking the pack off, I'll take the rifle. Like I said, the rifle is just buckled on right here on the bottom of the pack. And I actually like this strap system by Initial Ascent. At first I was a little confused or not sure about it, but you see how this buckle is, well, I'll show you here in a minute, but you can see how this cover is just strapped around it, or the gun is really hanging from this strap right here on the frame. And so that's what I got holding it up, Ryan's rifle cover, and it's just nice. I could do a sling as well with it. This is the Backcountry TI by Weatherby. It's just a lightweight rifle. I got a Leukotape scope on it, and then I went ahead. In the past I've been running that what is it? Spartan Precision bipod, but I just went back to the lightweight Harris bipod for this trip. I just like this. I shoot better with it. It's much more accurate at longer ranges. It's quicker for me to get set up. The little carbon fiber one that's magnetized and goes in, I just don't get the stability like I do with this. And I just want it. It's a little bit heavier, but I just feel like it improves at least my shooting so much more that I'd rather just bring it. Plus, it's always attached. I don't have to worry about forgetting it, which I did a couple times last year. We dropped the packs, grabbed the gun, and go, and then I realized the bipod is still back. I don't know. The other one works well too, but I don't know. I just decided I was going to go back to this one. There's just a lot of good control I have with this, the way it locks in, and I can get behind it and really make I feel a better shot. So back to the backpack. I've got in here, just in my pouch here, I just have some lav mics like the one I got on my neck. This is for my shirt here, just for filming hunts. I got my Sissy Sticks trekking poles right here. These are the Elite poles right there. They got the carbon fiber upper and the aluminum lower, and they just can take a beating, and they're lightweight but tough, and I love them, and they support our show. So they're a hunting brand. They're not an REI type brand, and when you use the code GRITTY, you get a big discount on them. So the next thing is, let's go through, I guess, the top of the bag here. I'll just start emptying this out. So in the top here, this is all my batteries and camera straps and lenses and just stuff for filming. I've got a little pull-out bag here, and then I've got right here, this is lens cleaning stuff from my camera. All the washes, the little like, they're kind of like disposable alcoholic swabs and stuff. I got those. Right here I have a little, what is this, a GSI? Yeah, GSI Microlight plastic bottle or cup mug. And I just really like this setup. It's easy. Ryan and I both use the same one. Although he does have like a Cedar Summit that's really old, but I think he melted it or something on the last one. He's been running this one. And then right here, this is like my little poop kit. In here I have, you know, a little, well, I'll go through it. I got a little steroid cream if I need to. I get a little chafed in the rear. I've got some Alphonic, or no, Aquaphor to deal with a little chafing. I got some big glutes, and they kind of, there's no daylight in my glute. You know what I'm talking about, in the seam there and the crack. So it can get a little hot and chafed in there, a little rubbing. So a little bit of like shea butter or something that bikers use. I've been using Aquaphor for years. It works great. And then I do bring this for an emergency, which is Recticare, and it's a lidocaine 5% cream. It just numbs everything. I've been in cases where things went south for some reason, and you get a little bit of bumhole, just pain. And so having this little kit, generally you stay clean. I have a little few wipes. If I feel like I might be a little raw, I put a little Aquaphor there, and it just keeps things from getting too raw from rubbing, and that works great for me. I also sweat a lot, like my feet, my hands, and right down the crack. So I actually like that. Other guys sweat in their armpits. I don't sweat in my armpits hardly at all. So everybody's a little different. I don't know why. That's how it works for me. And then right here I have a 3-liter Hydra pack, which is basically just 3-liter of a bottle, like a platypus or something. I like the Hydra pack. I have 2 of those in here. In the initial ascent, they have this little strap right here in the top lid, and I'll spin it around right here. And I do like this. I like how it's organized. I can see into the package because it's got the net, and I can see what's in there. And in here I have a little thyroid, like a tiny bit of thyroid medication that I take every day. My doctor thinks I'm just a touch under on the thyroid, so I take a little bit just to boost it a touch. Although I've been like that my whole life, but the last 3 years I've been taking a little tiny bit of thyroid. And then I've talked to you guys before. I've got a little testosterone replacement therapy that I do. So I have a couple of needles in here, and I have a couple of, for 2 weeks worth, basically. Take a shot every Sunday night. That's how I roll. So I got that in there. And then over here, I got another pull out here. This has my headlamps, have another Hydra pack. Sometimes this time of year we might hike to the top of a spot and stay for a couple of days. It's nice to have the option of bringing, a good 6 liters. This would be 6 liters plus my water bottle. This water bottle is, what is it? Another liter. So you got 6 7 liters of water. I've got the Steri-Pin is what I use to filter water. Typically, I fill these with dirty water, contaminated water, and then whenever everything I drink goes through the water bottle first, and I just, when it's convenient, I purify it. A lot of guys will try to purify everything as they add it into these so they can drink directly from their water bladders. I just can't deal with that. I don't need it to be purified. I just fill these up with conveniently when I get a chance somewhere, and then I roll on. Sometimes there's not a lot of deep water, and so if there's not, I'll use my water bottle to get water and fill it, or if it's even more shallow, I'll grab my cup and I'll just get enough water to fill my bladder. Usually it works just fine. So that's that. I got matches in here. I got a plasma lighter. I got a Peaks. I got a Peaks titanium spoon and for dinner. But that's kind of how I roll. That's the water bladders, the water filters, lights, matches. All that's in my top lid because I'm always getting into all this stuff that's in the top lid is stuff I kind of get into all the time, or at least every night. And then right here, I have my toothbrush and my brush, my floss, and all the stuff I do for at night before I go to bed. Okay, for brushing teeth, I got a little melatonin spray. I'm not really going to go over the food. I got some, I do like the Hunt Harvest Health or the Stealthy Nutrition Cbd Oil Sleep Spray. My wife thinks it is really bitter, and it is, but I don't care. I like the results. I just do a few squirts, and I'm out cold when I go to sleep. And then I've got another headlamp. I got a couple in here. So what I like about this, keeping things in my top lid like this, all these things that you're seeing are the things that I get into: matches, spoon, toilet paper, toothbrush, my batteries for my camera, the cleaning supplies for my camera I've got in here. All these things are things that I need to get to all the time throughout the day. Maybe grab my cup so I can fill a water bladder, whatever. So I keep it all in this top lid like this. And when Ryan and I set up tents and we're ready to go to bed or whatever, I usually just slip this top lid right off my packs. That's how I like to run them. I just quickly remove it and then just toss it into my tent right next to. I'll just pull it off, and then I'll put it right in my tent, right next to my pillow by my sleeping bag, and then everything I need, like mostly, is right there. And it makes it quick. Everything I need, I pretty much know. All those little pieces are right there. My pack, I can put at the foot of the tent or anywhere I want. I'm not really going to get into it, once we're set up, because everything is in the top lid. I just like it. I feel like it's convenient. I've been using the Stone Glacier top lid, and I do like the way that the front of it, you can kind of unzip it and stuff doesn't fall out. But it does have a small hole, and it feels like put stuff in there and you're just like trying to figure out where things are. This lid is much more accessible. I can see into it. I can find stuff more easily. The zipper is so wide and the top so flat. I do really like that. Again, I need to use it more to really see what I think, but right now I'm pretty stoked with what I've got. And so, like I said, I would do this. I'd pull this lid off like so when we get tent set up, and I'll just like, boom, stick this right next to my camp. The other thing I got in here on the bottom, right there, that's my Inreach. So I know right where it's at. I can grab it, use it anytime I want. It's my Garmin Inreach, and it's really handy to have that right there. Easy to find. So, okay, so let's get into the rest of what's inside here. I do like this Ryan told me a while ago on the XO, which he'd run for a while, the XO pack, that he liked this kind of stretchy material where he can put things. Well, I don't know. I wasn't a believer necessarily, but he really wanted to see that somewhere else on his other packs. Well, anyway, yeah, it's pretty handy. I can throw my puffy jackets and things I need to get to really quickly in this pocket. So, for example, I like these Sitka Mitts. It's pretty hard to beat these right now. This is the insulated mitt, and then this is a Gore-Tex shell that goes over the mitt. I like those. And then I have these Kuiu gloves that are, I'm really liking these, that are just kind of a lighter weight glove to wear just in the morning or when it's not that cold, just to take a little edge off, or when I'm hiking. Sometimes when it's really sweaty and we're hiking far, but it's really cold and windy, I like to just use these outer mitts as a shell just to block the wind. Your hand is protected from the wind and the icy chill, but there's no insulation in this to keep you hot. So I just, that's kind of my glove setup for the trip right there. And then I'll go through what I got in the pack. I'm gonna go ahead and put this back in here just because we're done talking about it. So I keep those gloves right there. My puffies and everything else I also put in here. And I should probably, before I empty the pack any further, right here is everything I'm wearing on my person. So I'll go through that really quick before I do the rest. And right here I have these crispy boots right here. They're the Crispy Nevada Legend. Still my favorite boot. I like the uninsulated for this time of year, but Crispy was out of stock, so I have just the insulated, which is fine. And then inside the boot, I have a pair of these sheep feet inserts, and they are money. I've been talking about them for a while. Some people write to me and say, is it worth it? Is it worth it? Yes, the sheep feet are worth it. They're custom orthotics. They custom to your feet. They make your boot just that much more stable. Your feet don't slide around as much. They're the best orthotic I've used, and I've used quite a few in the past. But I like this boot too because I have weak ankles, and it's got this ABSS, ankle brace support system. It is really solid, really does keep me from twisting ankles. The leather feels good. It kind of molds in my foot over time. But these boots are really comfortable right out of the gate, right off the bat. Now, these are nubuck leather, not a full grain outer leather. And so that's part of the reason why they're so dang comfortable. But with that, they can shrink pretty quickly. So I run this stuff on it, which is the Crispy Waterproofing Conditioning Cream. And I try to keep these done up. My Wild Rock from Crispy has a full grain leather, meaning they actually have the outer part of the animal skin. It forms the boot. It's not as prone to shrinkage as this type of leather is. So you really kind of want to make sure it doesn't shrink too quickly, too easily. When I dry these boots, I don't want them to get the leather to get overly wet. Keeping the boot waterproofed is key, and then allowing them to air dry. And I'll show you, I have a air 2 fans from Gsi. He makes a boot dryer. I tested a prototype all last year. I've talked about it a bunch. Everyone should buy one that has sweaty feet, and even if you don't, I'll get to those in a minute, but they're worth it. They're totally worth it. And I'll explain how I use those as well in a little bit. But that's the boot. And then over here, I have in here my bino harness. I got 10 by 40s of Leukotape binos, the BX5s, and I have right here a Leukotape rangefinder. I think it's the 1600 or the 2800. Leukotape's rangefinders are legit. And then I've got this marsupial gear case. I like it. So that's my bino harness setup. My binos. I have, this is my my top that I'm going to test this time around. It's like the lightweight, what is this one? The Super Down Ultra by KUIU. So far, I can't believe how warm and yet light this KUIU stuff is. I've used KUIU years ago, but haven't used it in a long time. I wanted to try it out. A bunch of guys were telling me as I was asking questions about it, what to check out. And it does seem, for the weight and the warmth, the only thing I'm noticing right now is it's a little bit louder, but I don't think it really matters when I wear this because I'm not trying to be sneaky when I move around with this on. But I think it'll also probably get quieter as it's not as new, because all my puffies have a little noise to them in general at first. But I'll tell you what, I can't even tell. It's just like it weighs nothing. It's pretty wild. So I've got that puffy there, and then I have a vest, same thing. This is the KUIU, this is the Super Down Ultra. And I basically, like I was saying earlier, I run these two in these pockets right here because I need to have them accessible, something I can get to rather quickly. So I like to put these puffy jackets, I like to get these puffy jackets on the front in these pockets, and I tested it up on the mountain the other day, and I can throw these right here, and then when I sweat on my hikes, I don't need it, but as soon as we stop and now I got a cold sweat going, I can just unzip these front pouches, boom, boom, pull them out. I don't have to disturb any of my pack and the rest of what I've got. And then I can stuff it back in just as we start hiking or I get sweaty again. So I like the design that I'm seeing right now on this pack. My Stone Glacier didn't really have pockets like that, and they couldn't really expand to accept this. So I was always kind of sticking under the top lid or something. But or they do have the beaver tail, but sometimes I got stuff strapped to the outside of it, which blocked it, especially like a bow or something. This pack so far, a rifle, but I've been carrying everything on the side, so everything's really accessible on the back. So far, it's been pretty nice. I've been, like I said, testing the system up on the mountain, but still got a few things to check first. So we'll see how it goes. But anyway, those are the puffies that I kind of I'll be wearing those two layers on and off, on and off, on and off all the time. Going into the pack, okay, what I've got here in the pack is, again, I've got the one more puffy. So last year, this time of year, Ryan is wearing 2 Stone Glacier puffies, just as layers because it can get kind of cold sometimes. This is the Super Down Pro. So I tested this system up here in Utah, up on the mountain in the snow. Basically, I was wearing this vest, then I was wearing this this Super Down Ultra, right? And then when it was just a little touch too cold for that, I wore this right here, the Super Down Pro, over the top of both of those. I really like this system because this jacket is just a touch bigger than that jacket, and they all layer up. So your vest, your next layer, and this layer, it's like they all fit, even though they're all large, they just fit perfectly. So the other thing that I have is I've got this KUIU hoodie, which is just sort of a mid-weight layer that I run if I need to, and then I have a Mountain Ops Battleground Merino hoodie that I like to wear next to skin. Now, I wear this a lot in a vest, like that light puffy vest. Sometimes I might want to ditch the puffy altogether and really just run two tops. So the other thing I've got right here is I have these KUIU Katana Pants. I've been wearing these. I really love these. They have a little vent zip on the side. Not a big deal. It just lets all that air in. I really, really love it. And then a bunch of guys on our Gritty Stealthy Locals community said that they actually went and sold all their pants and just upgraded everything to Katana, and everything they own is the same pant. I've been wearing it for hiking and everything, and I'm super pleased with this pant. We'll see. It's like that perfect weight. The vent zips help a lot. I'm a sweaty guy when I'm moving, but then, when you stop moving, it gets a little cold. I like the pocket system. I like the weight of the pant. They seem durable. So it'll be cool to see how this new pant performs. I like the Sitka Ascent pant, but it's just too loud. And you feel naked. Like, it is really like wearing nothing. And then the Timberline is one of my favorite pants, the Sitka Timberline, but it's just a little too warm and heavy for what we're doing in the springtime. So, if I do get a little chilled, this seems like a really nice weight pant. So far, I've been testing it up on the mountain here behind me, and it's been great. But I'll run a knee-high sock. And so these are my favorite socks. I only have one pair left, and these are Gore-Tex, made by Gore. John Barklow turned me on to these. They're amazing. And I've run through them all over the years. I wish I had bought more. I do have some Darn Tough socks as well that I really like. But these are Smart Wool sock liners, which are a must for me. I don't Leukotape or deal with blisters hardly at all on my feet. But if I don't wear sock liners, I'll get blisters, or I'll have to tape up. So sock liners with a good outer moisture wicking sock like these, or even a Darn Tough, although they don't perform nearly as well as this material, whatever it's made out of. But that's how I run. I wear these on the inside, these on the outside. And then, like I said, I'll pull the socks up to my knees if it's cold, and then I'll slide them down once it's hot and I'm hiking around. Now, last year, toward the end, I took a bunch of Darn Tough socks that are real nice and thick wool, and I cut off the foot of the sock. And now I just have a tube, which I will put on in the mornings, and I'll wear that thing from knee to ankle. And it'll keep me warm like wearing a pair of long johns. Or like leg warmers, and it works really great. And then just to take them off, I can just take my boot off and slip it off. I don't have to take my pants off. And generally, I don't even do that. I just slide it down to my ankle, the little tube, and just kind of roll it, or even push it on the outside of my boot, whatever. I don't really need it. You can just stay there. And then when it gets hot again or cold again, I can just roll them right back up, and I can shift back and forth to cool myself. I can open the zips, close the zips on my pants, and it's all about, for me, managing heat. You know, I get hot when I move, and I get cold when I sit still up in these mountains. So having those layers are really good for me. And then I've got just a normal beanie here. And I've got this KUIU belt, which I've loved this belt forever. I've got one. I've had another one of these for like 10 years, almost 8 years or something. And I love that belt. And it's pretty simple, but it's great. So anyway, that is what I wear on my person. Pretty much the whole kit. Gloves to hats to clothing. It's amazingly lightweight. And then let's get into what I have inside the pack. Right here this breaks my heart, but it's what I've got. It's heavy. Right here are all my cords for charging devices, batteries, and so forth, phones, iPhones, stuff like that. And then in here, I also have a Dark Energy battery pack. And then I also have another Mongo battery pack that I just use so much electricity for filming and battery charging and stuff that I've been carrying this pack, which is a camcorder battery pack, but it charges forever. So between, this setup, this lasts me a good couple weeks in the mountains, and I'm able to charge up all the devices and keep it going. So that's my battery. Some people asked if I used solar panels, and I don't. We just bring enough power to last. Okay, right here I have a pair of Sitka Puffy Pants. I always bring Puffy Pants. It's hard for me to leave them behind. I'm going to try the KUIU out at some point, but these have been good to me. Ryan brings the Stone Glacier Puffy Pants. They're also they've treated him nice, but it's just nice when you have to stop and glass, or you're glassing in the morning or the evening. It's cold. Having a really nice warm insulated top and an insulated bottom, and you just tuck in and you just sit still and you just glass away. It really does help you stay out there. It's a little bit heavier, but I'm looking forward to trying the KUIU because they're way lighter. but I just think a zip-on puffy is just nice. And then I don't really worry about long johns too. If I really am cold, I can just throw that on. They zip on and off. So this is part of the kit that I weighed with everything else. This is a Ronin RSC2 glide. It's a gimbal. It's how I can like film smooth shots. It's the first year I'm using that. We did use one on a couple of them on Kodiak, and you saw some of that footage. It's just going to allow us to get more run and gun footage. Hopefully save us time in the edit room trying to stabilize and make footage so it doesn't like drive you guys crazy with shakiness. But it does add some weight. It's a kind of a pain, but that's another device I got to keep charged up with electricity. But it's going to allow us to get shots that we don't normally get. Actually, I try to capture quality audio in the field, and I try to get good storytelling out there, and I try to film long range, the critters that we're filming with the big lens and big tripod. I try to get all that with the cameras. But one thing that we've lacked really is I kind of handhold. The moving footage is usually a bit shaky, and it's just what it is. But I try to work around it by grabbing stationary shots and stuff as we're on the stock. I don't want people to notice I even have a camera. I don't want Ryan to notice I have a camera. When we're moving in, we're just bringing you along, and we're trying to make it as seamless as possible. But I think that's going to really help us get some real pretty, clean looking stuff. So back to here. These are, I have another pair of socks because I sweat so much. I like to have, I have too many socks, but I sweat like crazy, and they're the difference between, success and failure for me. So another pair of sock liners, another pair. These are Smart Wool. I got some Kuyu right here. These socks are just extras I bring, and when one pair gets super sweaty or saturated or gross, I can dip them in a creek, rinse them off, get all the salt and the grime and stuff, and you wouldn't believe how much oil and salt and stuff comes out of my socks. Then I can hang those in a tree or whatever, put them in the tent, let them dry, and then I have a fresh pair on. I'll even strap those dirty socks to the outside of my bag for a day or two. They dry up, and if I need to, I can go back. Usually I can go 4 or 5 days on one pair of socks, another 4 or 5 days on another pair of socks, and if I rinse them off in between, they can go forever. And then here's the little sock tubing that I'll throw on to warm up my calves and keep me a little warm. So kind of my setup there. Ryan doesn't need to do that because he doesn't sweat. His feet don't sweat like mine. Okay, right here, these are the boot warmers I was talking about. And these are money. That's all it is. It's just these two little camera fans. They weigh hardly anything. And I can take these boot dryers and I simply just put them in there like so, and they draw air into the boot and push the air in, and they work a lot better with a heat source. But we almost never hit the mountains without a heat source because we bring stoves. We bring our Seek Outside teepees, and we bring our Seek Outside U-turn stoves. A little bit of warmth inside the teepee. I'll raise my tripod up so it's closer, it's above the stove quite a bit, maybe up into the canopy. Then I'll take my boots and I'll hang them off the tripod. I'll drop these boot warmers in there, throw on a battery charger like the Dark Energy. Ooh, they'll blow these things, and my boots will be bone dry every day. In the morning when we go to leave, I got a fresh pair of boots on. Like, it's just nice. Otherwise, they'll saturate with sweat, nerves, adrenaline, hiking. And over the course of 4 or 5 days, they'll get super wet inside. And then they'll just continue to get wetter and wetter and wetter until they feel like they've been submerged in water. And there's nowhere for it to go. And it's not, I'll get through it, but it's so much nicer now that I have the boot warmers. So if you have a couple buddies between you guys, you can just bring one boot warmer. I have Leukotape. I usually don't bring this much. This stuff is brilliant for any kind of blister situation. You put this stuff on your skin, and it can stick there for a week or more and protect you. It's a great tape. I usually don't bring the whole roll. I just wrap it around like a tube of some kind, and I bring enough for the trip. Don't need to bring the whole thing. So that's the boot warmer. And then in here, this is just sort of my possibles pouch right here. I've got some string for hanging game or whatever if we need to. I've got, it's a mess in here, but I got everything I need. Allen keys. I've got my goat knives. Use the code GRITTY, you get a discount. Got my goat knife that goes around my neck. I got my goat knife with a replaceable blade where I can replace that blade. And it's got Allen keys in the handle, which I really like. Got a little extra string that comes with it. I've got replaceable blades right here, just Havalon kind of type. They're just your scalpel blades. I have Imodium AD in case I get some sort of giardia or something and I have diarrhea beyond control. You don't want to have diarrhea 10 miles back and stuff leaking out your butt and then getting you raw, and you need this. And another thing that people often bring and that I bring with me is I have a little bit of Benadryl in case I have some kind of allergic reaction, although I've never had one in my life. I've seen people that have one, you never know. So I bring a little bit of Imodium AD and a little bit of Benadryl. So bring some ibuprofen for pain in case you sprain an ankle or do something. Just nice to have something take the edge off. So that's the possibles pouch. Got a little extra cordage in there. I've got a blood clot blood clotting sponge right here that I throw in there, and we would use in case of a dire emergency. You stab yourself or something bad happens, you can use that blood clotting sponge to stop the bleeding. So that's kind of what I have in here. A little super glue, sometimes I'll throw that in there. All right, I got my Jetboil Minimo stove. This has a micro dial on it. I like how it feeds fuel into the stove. It does, and I like the wide mouth, so I can rehydrate my own meals or do whatever. It's just a nice setup with a micro dial. I don't like the Jetboils that just go all the way on or all the way off. It's just like trying to cook with a blowtorch. You can't just fine tune it and just let it just have a little yellow flicker of flame to warm up or simmer foods. So I really like this stove. And then I've got this, like in case the apocalypse come, I got this Kuyu cap. I'm not sure, the jury's out. Looks a little funny on my head, but I can't say it's freaking warm. It hardly weighs much as well. So I'm bringing it. And then right here I have a tiny lightweight. This is like the Flash rain jacket that Sitka makes, and it just goes on the outside and just kind of, it weighs nothing. I mean, it's tiny, it weighs nothing. I haven't explored the Kuyu stuff yet, but you know, Ryan kind of right now with Stone, as he's been running that, it's a little heavier duty than this, more robust. Generally we don't need anything more than this little Flash jacket, because the rain in the mountains it comes and then it leaves. Or if it does come a lot for a full day, we just set up the teepees and climb inside for a while. The bears aren't out in the rain much, hardly at all anyway. So I do like this, but I suspect Kuyu has something as they go that lightweight route that's pretty nice. I'll have to look into that. Sitka has a really nice lighter weight rain gear that's a step up from that. And I've got some of that as well, but I just, I don't like bringing rain gear if I don't have to. If it's not like that kind of hunt, I like to leave the rain gear at home. So all I've got is this jacket. Now this can be the difference between, having a miserable trip and a great trip. Just this little piece of kit doesn't weigh anything. It's hard to leave home, but it's hard for me to justify bringing a full on heavy rain jacket for this kind of stuff. And then right here, this is the Stone Glacier backpack cover. It's just a waterproofing cover. I've got that in here just to throw over my bag so it doesn't take on a ton of water. I haven't actually used this in the rain, and it does kind of have like a waterproofing type coating on the inside. I didn't talk to the guys much about what it can do to withstand water, but it feels somewhat like most packs do in terms of the material. I suspect it'll take on some water, and I don't want to deal with that. So if it does get wet, I throw this on the pack and I throw this on my clothing. Then my pack doesn't gain like tons of weight in water. And then I got to carry that around. Plus it's wet and then it seeps through and gets other things wet. I don't want to put a garbage bag over it. So they probably make one at Initial Ascent. I just haven't dug into it. But this little tiny one that's made by Stone, it just comes around. It's got a pull cinch tie and it'll just kind of cover everything, keep it a little bit dry, keep it from getting too wet. So got that. And then inside I have my Cimarron, my Seek Outside Cimarron. This is the Cuban fiber one. It's like, I don't know, 2 pounds or something, or 1.5 pounds, with the stakes and the pole. Right here is my Therm-A-Rest. I have a Therm-A-Rest Neo Air pad. It's what I've been using for years. Ryan likes the Big Agnes Q-Core. It's not insulated though at the same level. Ryan did go out and buy the X-Therm, which is the Therm-A-Rest X-Therm. It's the next level up from the Neo Air. And he was using it the last hunt we went on the whole time. And he was liking that quite a bit. It was a lot colder. It was that mule deer hunt. So I think the X-Therm is pretty sweet. I don't own one. I think it's a little heavier duty than this Neolight Air, and I might want to jump on that. Plus it's more insulated. For some reason, the Big Agnes Q-Core, it doesn't have a rating on it. It doesn't even tell you. But the Neolight Air is like R4, and it's just what I need to stay warm. Anything colder, I feel the air through the pad, and then I have a hard time sleeping at night. So that insulation really is important. I've got my Peaks Gators right here, crossing rivers, just hiking through really wet brush or anything like that. It's nice to have a pair of Gators. Between a pair of Gators and a waterproof top, you know, you have this section that can get wet a little bit, like from here to there, but generally you can stay pretty dry. One thing I learned years ago from John Barklow over at Sitka was take these Gators. Let's say I don't have any rain pants. When I take these Gators, the way to run these Gators is actually under your pants. So you would put your, by the way, I got these socks. They're compression socks. You got to love these. Got them from my wife's sister for Christmas. You know, they're pretty sweet. But you put the Gator on underneath like this and close it all up, right? Well, then you put your pant over the top. And so let's say my pant does get soaked. Those Katanas are so nice because they just dry out quick. Same with the Sitka Ascent or any of those lightweight outer layers. So let's say my rain jacket is shedding moisture, you know, here, but then my pants get wet. They get soaked and they wick down. Well, they only wick down this far, but because my pant isn't inside my Gator, but rather on the outside, that water just soaks down and it never gets inside your socks and wicks into your boot or anything else. That water, even though your pants are soaked, they just never breach the Gator. The Gator's tight, and you're not giving it a wicking ability for the pant to be underneath to wick moisture inside. It actually works like a charm. And because the outer pant dries so easily, it's like, so what? They got wet. I don't have to pack rain gear. I'm dry from here down, and I'm dry from the waist up, and these pants will dry out in no time. So that's often how I roll. It's a mistake. A lot of guys will, in a pouring rain, you know, they don't have, even if they have a rain pant on, it's like, why have all that water wicking under your Gator instead of over your Gator? So, plus, if you're hiking and you're trying to be sneaky and you're stalking through brush, it's amazing how much quieter it is on an approach when your pant is on the outside, because your Gator is loud because it's waterproof and it's thick. Your pant blocks all those sticks and branches from brushing and making noise. So you can be way sneakier with your pant over the top of your Gator, but you still get the benefit of the Gator. If you're cold, that's another thing. I pull a knee-high sock up to here, put my Gator on, roll my pant over the top. It's so warm with the Gator. I'm basically not very insulated from the waist to the knee, but from the knee down and the waist up, I got all these layers that keep me really warm. So it's kind of like a kilt, or like, you got all that airflow down there, yet you got a lot of warmth from the knee down and the waist up. I like to roll like that. And then I can quickly take these layers off. I can go, oh, it's getting hot. I can pull this gaiter off like this. I can pull the sock down like that. Boom. Now I'm a lot cooler. I can take those puffy layers off the top and I'm ready to go again. And if I get cold and it's miserable or it's getting a little wet, I can throw these pieces back on and I'm warm again. So that's kind of just gaiter talk. Okay. And then right here, I've got a little extra baby wipes for the booty and whatever else. I've got enough in my other kit on the top bag, and then I carry a few extra here. These are Gsi game bags. This is what I use. My game bag's been using these for a long time. Austin makes these game bags, like I said, and he makes the boot dryers. And use the code GRITTY. You'll save on both of those. This is 6 ounces, and it's going to carry like 250 or 60 pounds of boned out meat. We use them for bears, bear hides, bear everything. It's cool. It's a handy dandy game bag. I really like it. It's not built to take puncture, so you can't be putting like sharp objects in it, but it is built to take weight and pressure. And they have long strings on each sack, so we don't bring extra string. By the time you cinch it, you got this long tail, and we just tie the sacks up in the tree branches, right like that. You know, if we're up in the tree branches, which often I crawl up in there, climb up in there. So these are stakes for the tent. I run and this matters to me, I run these, what are these? They're the Groundhog, the Msr Groundhogs, and they have a slight twist at the bottom right there. They're not just straight, they have a little corkscrew to them. Okay, Seek Outside actually sells some stakes. They send stakes with yours. I have broken so many of those, or they don't go into the ground. They're not the same. Ryan and I had this little debate the other day, but because I broke a couple of his stakes, and I'm like, well, because you're using the junky ones. If you take this stake right here and you take a rock and you hammer it in, I've never broken one of these at the top. I've never sheared it. The other ones, I've broken a bunch of them. So, plus these seem to stick in the ground better with that little corkscrew. I've had these for eons. I can't even tell you how old they are. And I've used them a ton. I ran some of the ones that came with the Seek Outside shelter, and I don't like them. I think it's worth getting the MSR Groundhog stakes. I mean, the other ones will work. Ryan's used them. They're lighter weight a little bit, but I want them to really work. And then right here, I have the Western Mountaineering Badger sleeping bag. I think it's the Badger. I went over this with Kevin Tim from Seek Outside on that podcast we did a little earlier in the year. I'm excited to try it. I like how the foot box is a lot wider than my Stone Glacier bag. My Stone Glacier bag it starts to taper right at the knees, and so I'm really bow-legged here, and when my knee, I really have all this touching going on, like throughout the whole calf region. It's sweaty, and I need to spread out just a little bit, but I can't even do that because my bow-legged legs, when it tapers right at the knee. So it's like if it tapered mid-calf and down, it would feel more comfortable. That was my one complaint about that sleeping bag, was just that cut. I think it shaved a little weight, but this sleeping bag weighs the same, but it's got a 5 degree, it's not as rated for as warm so even though they weigh the same, this bag weighs the same as the Stone Glacier Chilkoot, it doesn't have the same warmth rating. So for weight to warmth, the Stone is a touch lighter, but I think I'm going to sleep better in this. It's also not the treated down, and I think it's going to breathe a little better. We'll see. I'll go over it and I'll tell you. Ryan and I did have a long conversation about it. He did say that Chilkoot keeps moisture off way better than this bag does. This bag can take on some water. If your feet get wet or they touch the side of the teepee, it can be bad. Well, I'm going to try that out and see what I think about it for myself, test it out. I do feel okay though with this or the Stone Glacier because we always bring a titanium wood stove. So we're always able to, if things do get wet, we're always able to dry out inside our Seek Outside teepees. And so I can bring this down bag that's super comfortable, sleep really well in it and do all that and not worry about if it takes on a little moisture. So that right there, oh, I got my carbon fiber pole. That's for my teepee. And one last thing. I have this OR Research duffel. It's just a waterproof duffel bag, dry sack. And sometimes I bring a big giant garbage bag, and I actually do have a big heavy duty contractor garbage bag in this kit. But I also like to bring this right here. And what this is, I like to throw, if I get a bear that has a gorgeous hide on it, I mean a beautiful hide, I like to throw the bear hide in here and then seal it up and buckle it. Ticks won't climb out and into the rest of my stuff. I can do the same thing with a garbage bag, but this is actually lighter than the garbage bags and a little heavier duty. I've used it for years. I use it for packing our tar out, and you know, it's just a nice bag. Plus, if I don't put a game animal in it or any meat in it or anything like that, I can also use it to just as a dry bag for gear and then hang it in a tree and stash it or leave my different stuff in it. It's just handy to have, and it doesn't really weigh much. It's no different than a garbage bag, having a contractor garbage bag, except that it's just a higher quality and weighs about the same. So I like that little deal. So Initial Ascent has a nice water bottle pouch that comes with their pack, slides in there. I got to tell you, I'm really, really digging these pockets by Initial Ascent. This pocket keeps its form really nice, and it zips really well without having to, like my Stone Glacier one, it kind of doesn't keep the same form a little bit. I actually threw one on because I only have the one pocket. So I grabbed my Stone Glacier pocket and threw it on here for this trip. Didn't get another one with Initial Ascent. I'll get it later. But this pocket right here, it's not so bad. But the Stone that's shaped like this, and the same thing with like other brands I've used, when you go to zip the front of them or you pull on them, it's like you got to go zzz, 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 because the pocket doesn't resist the pull well enough. So this is nice because it's just got that design where it pulls real easy. I just want two zippers, one on the back, one on the front. So I talked to those guys, said, hey, you need two zippers because if you're wearing it on one side, I might want to unzip it from the front, just unzip it a little bit and grab it. But I got to unzip it from the back, and I'm blind. I can't see what's in there. Some designs zip across the front instead of over the top. The ones that zip across the front, they're less likely to have some stuff fall out. When it zips this way, you can see there's a little bit, about half this thing is, is open. Something could fall out of it a little easier. So if the pocket is zipped the other way though, I can unzip it here just a little bit, get in there, grab whatever I need. I know nothing's falling out the back, and zip it shut again. So this works better. This pocket would work better on this side, on my left hip, than on my right hip. And maybe Initial Ascent does that. Maybe they have a right hip and a left hip zipper, but I just like having it have two zippers. If that's a thing, I don't know. Maybe there's a reason to do it this way. I'll find out more. So I think that's everything. Like I said, it was 45 pounds with everything, including the rifle and the sticks, like this trekking pole strapped to the side, all of the things. So the only thing that's not in here is my Seek Outside stove, which I'm going to have Brad Hunt haul. And then also I have my Leukotape spotting scope, and and then we have basically like more camera stuff, tripod camera stuff. So not included in this kit because I'm going to split some of this load with Brad Hunt. So far, I mean, I like the setup. The load is good. It's probably less than I've carried in the past. especially getting to share some of the load with Brad. This frame on this pack is really interesting. At first I was like, what am I dealing with here? But it's got a load shelf and some other stuff that's really handy to use. I like this little piece right here to just sling the rifle on and buckle it. Carries well. The way it holds, 100 pounds in this thing does not feel like 100 pounds. So I've got to test it next to the Stone. I think I like the Stone Glacier belt a touch more, but I like the shoulders on this a lot more than the Stone. And one thing I noticed was when I was up on the mountain the other day and I had 100 pounds, I could adjust this load lifter. If you look at this, I've got it right here for like a 60-pound load or so, or 50-pound load, but I can adjust this load lifter for more height when the load gets really heavy, just by simply sliding it in to the slot right here, and then boom, I have like this elevated load lifter. And I like the handle right here. My Stone, because it's connected to the frame. My Stone Glacier, it's sewn to the bag, and when I have like 140 pounds in it, when I was with Ryan this year, it was a season's worth of use, but I ripped the handle off, which, it's easy to get it repaired, but I didn't want to have to deal with that. I think this design is better. But like I said, the Stone Glacier has a little bit better feel around the hip, but not a ton. But I need to do this like with those loads for like 10 miles at a time to really be able to say for sure how this is going to stack up. But so far, I got to admit, I'm really impressed with this initial ascent. When I used the Seek Outside backpack not too long ago, when I was in Kodiak hunting mountain goat, it was a good pack too. But once I loaded a really, really big goat in it and the whole load, it wasn't very comfortable. And we found out later, as I talked to Kevin, he was like, well, the harness wasn't fixed, it wasn't arrested, it wasn't holding it down, and neither was the belt. It was all set to float, which made it feel really comfortable, 50 pounds and under. But as soon as I put really heavy loads in it, it was moving on me. But the new one doesn't do that, so I'm excited to see how that feels. I did load all that weight up in it from the gym, like 120 pounds or something on that podcast, and I did roll with it and to see what it felt like, and it felt good. But weights are not the same thing as an animal, because weights can be stuck right up next to the frame, can give you a false impression of how it carries a heavy load. Where this one, I've actually put all my gear in it and then added weights to it afterward. So it has that bulk to it like it would if I was normally going to hike. It has the rifle on one side, making it a little heavier on one side than the other, things like that to test it. And it just doesn't feel like you're carrying something super heavy when you are carrying something super heavy. And when I take the same load, put it in the Stone Glacier, it didn't seem to carry it as well. It felt like I was carrying 80 or 85 pounds, where this didn't. But I still, like I said, I need to test them way more side by side, but I don't know why it would do that. I did talk to the guys at Initial Ascent about it. Like, the pack doesn't stick out as far as like a Stone. It's not as narrow, and it doesn't stick out as far off your back, being narrow, but it does ride high. Like the Stone, it rides high, and your pack top can go high. They're just different designs, but this one does go right over my hips. It's a wider load that wraps around, and it doesn't stack as vertical, but it does stack around the sides. It just doesn't feel that heavy when you are carrying heavy. So, and I do feel like this frame is super tough. They do have a lifetime warranty on the whole bag, which is pretty remarkable as well. So I'm excited just to try it. I'm excited to try the Kuiu, see how it stands up. I'm excited to just mess around with a bunch of this stuff and see how it stacks. But anyway, that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. Hope you got something out of it. If you got any questions, leave them in the YouTube comments for us. That's usually where we try to get back to people. And then someday I'll make a list of everything and then put like the weights of everything next to it and all that. But hey, I'm barely getting things ready for my trip. I didn't have time to do that. I'm mostly a one-man show. So I hope that was good for you. And field your questions and we'll talk some more. I'll go over camera gear and food another day. They're their own podcast as well. So hope that was useful. Stay gritty.